DG, thank you so much for joining us. I just want to draw your attention to the fact that since 1997, it's estimated that the taxpayer has been funding SAA to the tune of 16 billion to keep it going. How far are we prepared to go to keep the national carrier going, despite the fact that it's seemingly not working?
Karima, thank you very much. We fully concede that the nation is within its right to ask the question as to how much longer can we put resources, support this airline, which we hope has to be able to function without such dependency on the state. I think that in a country where resources are demanded by a range of other demands, important social, economic, and other infrastructure demands, I think that's a correct question to ask. However, we have approached this question based on the conviction that we have not fully exhausted all the options about getting SAA to be a profitable airline. There's quite a lot of value intrinsic in the asset, and that and a premature disposal of the asset by the state would be incorrect. So I think this is a time when we need proper analysis, an identification of what are the problems, and then to be able to then plot a path forward. Now you asked the question, after this, can we be certain? I can't be absolutely sure about that question, Karima. The airline industry is a cutthroat, highly competitive industry. Even private airlines, which unfortunately for them, where the shareholders are unable to bail them out.
DG, let me come in here. Let's talk about the question of private airlines. I interviewed the CEO of Comair recently off the back of news that the South African Treasury was going to give SAA a bailout to the tune of 5 billion. And they were very concerned that the bulk of that money is going to go to, recapitalizing the domestic fleet. And they were arguing that if you do that, you'll be in contravention of your own policy. How do you respond to that charge?
I have seen that in the media, and I don't know what that means.
Well, essentially what they're arguing is that it's unfair competition.
Yeah, I was going to go there, because if it's an unfair, it's an accusation, a legal accusation, then the country has got very competent competition authorities. What any aggrieved party needs to do is to launch a complaint. We are not aware that there is a complaint, but I can tell you one thing, Karima. Remember that as a shareholder, and the Treasury for that matter, because this is not a matter that we decide on our own, we have made an assessment. The Treasury would have supported SAA after having made a calculation about what the strategic and economic importance of the airline. And so, as a state-owned company, SAA has got multiple objectives. It has a massive contribution to the economy, which I think needs to be publicized and highlighted. It is a leading transporter of the biggest chunk of arrivals and departures from a tourism point of view. It has a strategic value to the country, a country which is remote from distances which needs from the world, major markets in the world, which need security of air travel. It's got implications for jobs. In a country with such an endemic unemployment crisis, you can be sure that if the airline were in private hands, a lot of these benefits of SAA to the economy will be lost, where a narrow pursuit of profit is only the objective. So it makes those calculations, and the support therefore is based on that.
DG, I get what you're saying, and I understand that SOEs has to speak to the developmental objectives, but we can't ignore the fact that we have, the taxpayers footing the bill for a place that is essentially not run efficiently. Let me just ask you a last question. We've seen mass resignations among your board members, followed by the CEO and 2 other executives. What is the problem between the shareholder and the board? Because if you look at some of the board members, they have excellent track records. Why were you not able to come to some kind of an agreement on the turnaround strategy?
Karima, the shareholder and board and executive relationship is not a relationship of friendship. There are matters of national interest, and so if we as a shareholder fail to ask the tough questions and to insist on answers, SAA, you mentioned the huge shocking numbers about the losses that the airline is going to incur in this year and is budgeting to incur in the future. And so if we allow this to happen, then we would be in a partnership of complicity over an asset that, in fact, we are working down. So this is not unusual. Shareholders and boards fall out on critical matters with regard to the affairs and the business of the company. So there should not be anything extraordinary about this, because where the shareholder believes that the leadership is incapable of managing the affairs of the company in ways that add value, that enhance the prospects of the company. So in that situation, you are doomed if you don't, you're doomed if you do. We're doomed where we say, no, we are a cozy relationship with boards and so on. We don't enforce accountability and so on. And when we do that, we're also attacked. I think that what we have done is correct, and all of these actions were unfortunate because we were working with the board and management towards the AGM, where we would have had the opportunity to deliberate about the interest of the company, because it has to be about the company first. I think once we all forget that what brings us together, what brings us into this partnership is the interest of the company and the interest of the country at the end of the day, then we're losing it.
Well, that's where we have to leave it. That was Tshediso Mtona. He is the Director General of the Department of Public Enterprises.